Just looking at the game film, and you got a second look at Dillon Gabriel, what did you think of his performance?
I thought there were a lot of positives. Said it after the ball game. He was pretty decisive with the football and had his eyes in the right place. A couple throws that he'd like back, and a couple things in protection too that broke down that forced him to deliver the ball earlier. He's in a tough situation. So pretty pleased with what he did, and I thought he managed the game, took care of the football, all those things. So all in all, happy. Obviously, we want to complete a higher percentage than we did.
Coach, now that you've had a little bit of time, to look at film and stuff, what is it about the offense that really kind of stood out for you again in the game?
I thought obviously big explosive plays. Again, really efficient with the run game most of the night. I thought our offensive line was really good in communication, and our double teams were pretty good. I thought we strained at the end of plays and created a little bit more space for our running backs. Running backs did a fantastic job of running north and south. Made some guys miss when they got to open space. And I think some of those big runs, too, are indicative of what the guys out on the perimeter are doing. Being engaged in the run game, showed that to the team this morning, just as we showed some positive things from the game and the effort that those guys were playing with out on the perimeter.
Coach, can you speak on Gowen being thrust into a primary role and how he performed?
Yeah, I thought he performed really well. Steady all night long. Was sound in just the communication, being out there, for the first time and with a lot of action. I thought our second and third levels communicated really well together, on the same page, handled motion, adjustments, all of that. And he played really sound all night long and then made the huge play in the fourth quarter, I believe, where he comes up with the turnover. Just he's been steady and continued to get better throughout training camp, more and more comfortable in what we're doing, and a guy that everybody on our football team feels really confident in.
I know this team wants to push the ball down the field in the passing game. I think 8 of Dillon's first 13 throws had a depth of target of 20 yards or more. Was that by design? And then what does that really tell you about him?
Some of it is by design, absolutely. Going into it, wanting to push the ball down the football field. Some of that was also the situations that we were in. You guys have seen us for a year now. We're going to be aggressive. We're going to push the ball down the football field and give our guys out on the perimeter a chance to go make plays.
Josh, 2 weeks in now, where is the team after 2 games compared to where you would hope they would be right now?
We're in the middle of a journey, man. I said at the beginning of the year, talk about it with our team all the time. We're in a race to be as good as we can, as fast as we can. Happy that we found a way to win the last 2 ball games. As a coach, it's never going to be perfect, never going to be where you want to be. I think the thing that I am really happy about with this group is they take coaching extremely well. They recognize what they're seeing on tape, want to improve upon it, take the coaching really well and try to incorporate it and implement it into their game. Guys came in today, were able to watch the tape early, had a team meeting, then went out on the grass for a little bit. Thought they had a great demeanor, great attitude, and looking forward to getting 1 week better.
What will be the biggest things that Dillon will take away from this game, seeing more pressure and all that stuff going into this week's game?
Anytime you're playing quarterback, the more reps you get, the more live snaps, it's going to help you continue to improve. And that's true for any of our quarterbacks. A year ago you saw DJ really improve from first week against East Carolina to when he got his next live action against USF for the conference championship game. So for Dillon, he's going to continue to improve as well. Time on task, seeing variable looks, all those things are going to continue to help him or whoever the quarterback is. DJ started practicing at the end of last week and was cleared today for this week as well. So, all those guys will continue to improve with the more time that they get.
Josh, along those lines, is there any update on Brandon Wimbush's status, and do you think he'll be able to play this weekend against Stanford?
We'll get final word on Brandon tomorrow, but believe he'll have an opportunity to play in this game as well.
Coach, what are the biggest hurdles, I guess, for Daryl Mack coming back after not going through camp?
I think some of that not going through camp, right? So there's some reps that have been missed. The last couple of weeks, though, he's been throwing routes on air, been moving, doing escape drills, and making sure his conditioning, his movement is where we need it to be. He's been super engaged in all of our meetings throughout it. He's been coaching those guys up. He's got as much experience, really more experience than anybody that we got in that room of playing within our offense.
Josh, is Branden hurt? Is he injured? Was he injured
I
last
said
week?
it after the ball game. He wasn't medically ready to go for the ball game. So
Is he clear for this week?
I just answered that question. We'll finalize that tomorrow.
Coach, what's been the biggest surprise maybe after the first 2 games? I know there's some areas in the team that maybe you weren't sure about and maybe have performed above your
Say that
expectations.
one more time, sorry.
What's been the biggest surprise to you when you look at your ball team or your ball club after the first 2 games?
I think for everybody, the question mark, one of the question marks, let's say on the defense side of the ball was the defensive line, and we've played a lot of guys there. They've been relentless in the way that they've played. They've, played on the other side of the line of scrimmage and created a bunch of negative plays, and you look at the other night, the third down situations FAU was in, that's indicative of what the D-line and the second level 2 were doing on first and second down.
Coach, as Matt gets healthier and Wimbush, maybe healthy this week, and you have Gabriel as well, is there a possibility that one of those quarterbacks like Wimbush might line up at like a wide receiver position, or are they all just quarterbacks?
Our guys are quarterbacks, so.
Coach, it seems like there's been a trend of more and more true freshman quarterbacks, seeing action, obviously there's Dillon, but look across the country. Has anything changed in your opinion when you look at quarterbacks coming out of high school?
From 20 years ago, it's completely different, right? Early enrollees, I think, is the first thing, right? They get an opportunity to go through an off-season, spring ball, essentially another off-season, and by the time they get to training camp, I'm gonna call them a veteran. They have their feet on the ground and understand what they're doing. Completely different than somebody that shows up at the beginning of June. I think quarterback training over the last 20 years has completely changed, and kids are further along in their growth of a development as a quarterback, and so that gives them the opportunity to go play at a really high level.
Josh, how important has it been? You got guys like Darryl, McKenzie, guys who've had experience when it comes to helping Dillon along, being able to have him there to maybe provide a little bit of balance, even Branden as well, to provide that experience and balance for him.
Yeah, I just think at the end of the day, one, we should have had all those guys playing, right? But two, I think they're a great sounding board for those guys, and that's during the course of practice. As we continue to move on and the next group's getting the next series of plays, they got somebody that is it's a sounding board that has played the position, understands what it feels and looks like from within the pocket and decisions and, seeing safety rotations, getting their eyes in the right place. I think those are all, little tidbits that those guys can give them in a different way than, somebody that hasn't been playing. And, on game day too, I think those guys are, a calm, sound voice for those guys on the sideline.
I know your feelings on the rankings and all that in the polls, but do you think that the people that vote in the polls watch you guys?
You talking about the AP or the coup?
Either.
Okay. I think it's impossible for them to watch every game. I mean, that's the reality of it. Do they watch college football? Absolutely. But at the end of the day, they can't watch every game.
I know it's only been 2 weeks, but for your defense to lead the nation in tackles per loss per game and be second in the nation in total tackles for loss, what does that mean to you?
It means we're playing an aggressive attacking style. I think it speaks to the development of our young defensive line. And we got a lot of guys playing, but I think it speaks to them playing on edges and being disruptive, both in the run game and the pass game. And I think that's an overall philosophy that we want inside of our program, all 3 phases of the game. Certainly want that on the defensive side of the ball as well.
Coach, what do you know about Stanford coming in this week?
They're big, physical. Absolutely, through their history, they're big, physical on the line of scrimmage. You see that on tape. Special teams, they got a special returner. They're really sound, big, long, athletic bodies on the special teams as well. They're going to pound the football. It's a different type of football game that we're getting ready to play, right? Limited number of opportunities, number of drives for you offensively. You got to maximize those things. Offensively, you got to convert third down, stay on the field. Defensively, you got to do a great job of changing the game, getting them in third and longs, but getting off the field on third down.
Josh, with having Stanford come in here and being a nationally televised game, what kind of atmosphere could it, like when it comes to recruiting, when you're trying to get some of these guys down here maybe to check out the program? How big is that for you guys?
It's a great opportunity. We typically have a bunch of recruits at every one of our home games, but the guys that we're recruiting are excited about this game. We're going to have a large contingency of recruits that will be here. it's going to be an electric atmosphere, you know, and we sell that in recruiting. It's true every week when you walk out of that tunnel. That thing's going to be shaking, and our guys are looking forward to that opportunity. It'll be a special atmosphere.
Earlier you were talking about the O-line and praising them for how well they played. How big and how key is that going to be during this game, given that Stanford likes to blitz?
Well, I think for us, offensively, we got to have balance in what we're doing. When we're playing our best, we're able to run the football and throw some play-action pass and take some shots down the field when we're getting one-on-one situations and win those things. And it's critical for us, whoever's at quarterback, that we maintain that balance.
Thank you.
All right, guys, appreciate it.